Hey, thanks for tuning in. So this is going to be my Formula One 2020 playthrough. I had already put a couple laps, or I guess even a couple races, into the Create a Team feature that's new to Formula One 2020. But for this series, I wanted to start in the FIA Formula 2 Championship through one of the teams picked, I believe, Art Grand Prix, you can see here, and make my way up into the Formula One. Now, without going into too much detail about the particular settings, I did want to point out that I didn't choose a driver academy initially, and that's simply because I honestly didn't know what team I wanted to race for at this point once I got to Formula One, and I wanted kind of each of them to be equal. The other thing, as I set up the weekend structure, gameplay settings, and assists, the AI driver level is the only limiting factor for me doing the pro career mode. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to keep up with the AI when they're at 110, which is the ultimate difficulty. So I basically go through all the settings here, gameplay settings, and set it to pro mode. The assists, I pretty much turned everything off. So it's essentially a pro career, except the difficulty is at like a 93 or 94, which I got that number basically by doing some time trials and adjusting it based on how good the AI did. So other than the settings, I'm going to go through a full Formula 2 championship season, and hopefully I get promoted to a decent enough team for Formula 1. At least hopefully my options are kind of there. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So let's dive into the first and only practice, and we'll see how it goes. So one thing I want to point out is before you watch any of the footage, and I give the highlights to practice qualifying and the two races, is I allowed myself to do kind of on-the-go commentary, but it's really difficult to kind of hear what I'm saying. In the next video, I think I'm going to either have my audio so it's a little bit easier to hear, or I'll just avoid commentary until the very end, until I can find a setup that works properly. So apologize in advance to the fact that you probably aren't going to be able to hear very clearly what I'm saying as I'm doing any of the racing in some of the clips. So let's jump into P1. I guess there's only one practice, so I guess let's see how it goes. So right off the bat, I was struck with a cooling system issue, which I actually thought was pretty cool. I think it's neat that there are failures and different vehicle issues that kind of crop up that have nothing necessarily to do with the player themselves, because that's the nature of racing at kind of this tier of cars, simply because there's so much experimentation and design that goes into a race weekend. Less so with Formula 2 than Formula 1, but still, it's there. So let's skip ahead to me doing a rundown of the course. Again, I had done Sakhir before, so I had a bit of a feel for the track already. Let's give it an out lap and see how it goes. So these definitely have a lot less power than the Formula 1 cars. So if you didn't catch the audio there, I'm basically comparing these to the Formula 1 cars. They have a lot less downforce than their big brothers. With the lack of downforce, you have the inability to hit the same braking points, as well as you got to be a little bit more gentle on the power. As you can see, these first practice laps are going to be a little bit sloppy. A lot less power. Interesting. doing some front lockups on these corners. I might adjust my brake bias to the rear. Ooh, dog, okay. So these still have a fair amount of torque. Still have to be...
Be careful with the front wing. You've taken some minor damage.
Okay, so not a super healthy outlap. So as you can see from the outlap, I'm locking up all over the place and just really struggling with the vehicle all around. But granted, it is my first outing in the Formula 2 car, and they don't give a whole lot of time for practice. But we'll watch this this hot lap of the first time around Sakhir in the Formula 2 car, and then we'll compare it to a later lap in practice where I had a teeny bit more track time. Okay, so these cars definitely need to brake a little bit sooner. Brake nearly as hard as an F1 car either, so I'll have to hit those brake points a little bit earlier. These cars definitely have a very different feel to them than the Formula 1 cars. Okay, so you can see it messed up a fair amount of corners. So as you can see, pretty sloppy lap. A lot of the corners I was missing my brake points. I was braking way too late and driving off the track. Luckily I didn't throw it into any walls, or I didn't spin out too terribly bad. But overall I was having a tricky time getting used to the vehicle. Let's jump ahead to the end of free practice, simply because I don't want to dally too much in the practice session as opposed to Qually and the races themselves.
That was no good. We needed to improve that.
Alright, a little sloppy first lap. Let's fix up this first one. Alright, it took a bit of a bite out of that first corner. On pace for what they're asking, but definitely find this setup a little squirrely. So by the end of practice, I was getting a better handle on the car. I was still making a lot of mistakes and oversteering and correcting here and there. But generally, I was feeling a lot more confident with it. Unfortunately, they don't give you a whole lot of time for practice, and the session was over before I really got to do any of my other kind of optional sets that you're supposed to do to help develop the car. So I only think I got through one or two things. So to finish up, here's the results of practice 1, and yeah, on to qualifying. So this was a nighttime qualifying, and I wanted to go out on the track on mediums just to get a feel for the fastest time I could possibly set. I obviously knew it was a slower tire, but I still wanted to give it a try and see what sort of performance I could get out of it.
Possibly caused by a front suspension that's too stiff, or maybe the front wing isn't producing enough downforce. Everyone ready? Okay, let's go.
So, that's very true. I might adjust the front spring, loosen it up a little bit if I'm noticing that I'm not getting that front grip technique. It's actually not a bad suggestion. So, nighttime we have less temperature. Let me bring up the temperatures here. Mirrors do kind of weird things along the straights. Alright, setup's feeling better. $141.6. Woo! So on my first out on the medium compounds, I thought I got 6th or 7th, but as I came into the pits, I unfortunately discovered that it was simply the slowest time and the other drivers didn't put a lap in at that point yet. So it wasn't looking very healthy for my first qualifying session of Formula 2. I thought maybe my AI setting was slightly incorrect, but so you can see I checked my time. Yeah, there it is. And I have a time of 1:42.19, which is by far the slowest of the session. But that being said, everyone else seemed to be on the soft tire, so I guess that made the choice easy for me. And I'd go out again on the softs.
All clear the garage, please. Car ready to leave.
So at this point, I was pretty happy with that initial lap, but I had enough fuel for a second one, so I thought I would give it 2 goes. The first hot lap that I did with the softs got me from 19th position up into P7, which I thought was pretty good, healthy and in the mid pack, definitely where I thought I'd be, but I definitely knew that there was still a bunch of time to make up, and I think I could put in one more good lap. So after hard braking at the 100 meter, it's a bit of a tight to right, and then you kind of open up. I usually flip it down into 4th gear, during races 3rd, and then if you can carry enough speed through those S's, you can usually do pretty decent. This is a down to a 2nd, and then you got to ease on the throttle. If you punch it too early, it'll throw you into the wall. This is always a super tricky corner. You have to brake, but if you brake and turn too hard, it'll lock that front left in. And then you have to kind of ease the throttle out of this, or again, you'll spin those rears up. Down the middle straight here, flick in around at the 50 mark, down to 3rd. And then again, easing the throttle on, or you'll overheat those rear tires. Usually you can go flat out on there in an F1 car. The F2s are a little bit more finicky depending on your setup. Easy right-hander. Another decent straightaway here. And then looking for that 100 brake mark. Down to 3rd. Down to 2nd. Could probably hold on to the 3rd gear there. And for a bit of a surprise finish.
Oh, P1. Box this lap.
Understood. Stopping this lap.
So Qually went a lot better than I thought it would. As you can see, I got a 140.96, which was only 0.02 or so of a second from Jack Aitken, which is pretty decent. But with the amount of time that I actually had put into practicing, I think the AI difficulty should be higher. So I didn't make any changes for this video. Both races are at Master level 92. I definitely think I'm going to put it up to 93 or 94 for the next several races in the series. But yeah, on to race day. So looking at the fact that we're at about around 18 to 20 minutes of runtime already, I'm going to separate the practices and the qualifying from each other. The races will be their own kind of individual videos, just so I don't have a video running on into the 1 to 2 hour mark. And if you're interested in watching practices or qualifying, you can. I'll probably do a lot more talking, sort of as I've been doing for the practices and qualifying. A little bit more information on setups, and then I'll preferably like to stick with the onboards for the races. So thank you for checking out the video, and please definitely subscribe if you like what you see. And check out the Sakhir Race 1 and Race 2 in the next videos.